Distressed.
School districts nationwide say the number of students failing classes has risen by as many as 2 or 3 times. That's a sign of the struggles many students are having with distance learning. Those specifically having grade problems are English language learners, those with disabilities, and other disadvantaged students.
As correspondent Andrew Stewart. The average U.S. price of regular grade gasoline rose 4 pennies a gallon over the past 2 weeks. Fuel price analyst Toby Lundberg blames a rise in crude oil prices.
The crude oil market got very excited about possible petroleum demand recovery from imminent vaccines. That's the main reason.
On Wall Street, Dow futures pointing up right now by 114 points. This is SRN News. Some help for Christian parents. Michael Harrington has a report.
Focus on the Family is concerned about liberal indoctrination of believers' children and has released a new resource to help. Focus calls the free download Back to School and says it's a, quote, busy parent's guide, what's happening in your children's classrooms, and practical steps you can take to protect them. Amongst the topics covered are pro-LGBT sex education classes, violations of religious freedom, and questions of transgenderism. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
A Muslim terrorist group with ties to ISIS is being blamed for a deadly attack on a Salvation Army installation in Indonesia right after Thanksgiving. International Christian Concern reports the terrorists were well known in the Sulawesi neighborhood and even came by the Salvation Army offices to receive free food from time to time. The ministry is calling on the government to track down the perpetrators of those killings. Islamic terrorism there is on the rise. This is SRN News. At least one person has died, 227 hospitalized after an unidentified illness broke out in India's southern state of Andhra Pradesh.
So far, the authorities seem baffled. But whatever the cause, the number of people being rushed to local hospitals has continued to rise. Some report fits similar to epilepsy, even a loss of consciousness. Nearly 50 children are affected, although most patients are aged between 20 and 40. Initial tests of air and water and blood samples haven't revealed any possible cause. All the patients tested negative for the coronavirus.
That's Jill McGivering reporting. A Michigan dog is back with her owners after she disappeared on a trip to suburban Chicago 3 years ago. The couple posted pictures and got help from volunteers. And then DuPage County officials recently got a call from a couple who had found the dog. The dog named Lola had a microchip implanted, which led to a phone call to the owners in Michigan. More details at srnnews.com.
Hi, this
Hey, this is Chris and Jody from Love and the Outcome, and this is the story behind our song, The God I Know.
Christian sure isn't about perfection, thank goodness. Chris and I are brand new parents to our little son Milo, and we wrote this song just before he was born. And let me tell you, we are learning firsthand how to throw our hands up and our worries down and just love God through it all and trust that he's going to love us.
My favorite line in the song is "No strings attached when he saved my soul." It's such a great paraphrase of Ephesians 2 verse 8. For it's by God's grace that you've been saved. You receive it through faith. It was not our plan or our effort. It's God's gift, pure and simple.
We sure hope you've enjoyed our new song, The God I Know, and I hope it reminds you today that it's not about being perfect. Just let him love you. Once I was lost, but now I'm found. No strings attached when he saved my soul. Want you to know that God I know.
Now, your Breakfast Club weather forecast.
Hello everyone, I am Kevin James with a quick check of your WVVC weather forecast. For today, Monday, we will see cloudy skies. It will be breezy with highs in the low 30s. For tonight, we can expect mostly cloudy skies in the evening, then it will become partly cloudy after midnight, as our lows will be in the low 20s. For tomorrow, Tuesday, look for partly cloudy skies with a few flurries or snow showers possible. Our highs will be in the low 30s. For Tuesday night, skies will be mainly cloudy with lows in the upper 20s. For the long-range outlook, the week ahead will be unseasonable, as we will see partly cloudy skies with chances for rain and snow showers by the midweek. With your weather forecast, I'm Kevin James on WVVC, Utica, New York.
And so it is Monday.
Monday, is it time to get up yet, Al?
Yeah, Walt lost a time zone in between.
Yeah, somewhere along the way. I think it's what is it, December 7th? I think I was tardy. I was plane spotting.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a cool morning this morning. 23 degrees outside, and it is Monday.
It is Monday, and we're the possibility of a little bit of snow on Wednesday.
Yeah, they're saying that.
But then towards the weekend,
it's going to cook.
That'll all be gone.
It's going to cook a little warmer. I like that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yes, indeedy.
All righty. Well, the weather forecast, before I forget, brought to you by Forever Leather down there in the New Hartford Shopping Center. And Charlie's got a deal going on right now. It's right around between 40 and 50% off of all his leather jackets. So very cool deal down there, 315-734-09.
Charlie Seeley with his herd of goods that he has there. Jackets, coats, hats, gloves, all that cool kind of stuff.
It feels like a Monday morning, does it not?
But it is a bit chilly out there.
It is. It is just a little bit frosty.
So let us begin our day.
Let's do that.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for a new opportunity to praise you. We pray, Lord, for health and wisdom. And Father, we pray as we enter this day that we hear your word, walk in your steps, that we be filled with your Holy Spirit and manifest your great
dial. WVVC Dolgeville, Utica, Rome. Inspo Radio 88.1 FM.
Through every battle, through every heartbreak, through every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress. Oh, you are my portion. You are my hiding place. Oh, I believe you are the way, the truth, and the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, and the life. I believe through every blessing, through every promise, through every breath I take. I believe that you are provider. Oh, you are protector. You are the one I love. Oh, I believe you are the way, the truth, oh, and the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are. Oh, you are. Oh, you are. And it's a new horizon. I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come true because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. Oh, yeah, my fears and doubts, they can all come true because they can't stay long when I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe
WVVC 88.1 FM, Pat Barrett in the way, 7 minutes past 7 o'clock. It is a chilly morning, but in kind of a hard weekend, man. A lot of COVID news over the weekend. You know, we've been having day after day after day of higher and higher numbers. And, you know, I want to remind everybody that while, you know, COVID is not the plague, it is still serious. So, you know, just be careful, you know, one of those things. It is serious, and if you've got older family members or if you've got young family members, you do have to have that in your peripheral thoughts.
Do take care.
Yes, absolutely. It's because it is a thing. But also remember, we are in the throes of cold and flu season, and yes, those are still things.
No, you can't have cold or flu. You got COVID or you got nothing.
Yeah. Just because you have a sniffle doesn't mean you have COVID. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm hearing that that there's a cheaper, more accurate test coming out for COVID. And there's
more accurate?
More
you mean
accurate.
You don't have to be like Elon Musk and take 4 tests and find out 2 of them say you got it and 2 of them say you don't?
Yeah, split the difference.
Yeah.
I kind of have
you
it.
either do or don't.
Either do or don't. Yeah, there isn't a maybe sort of kind of. Yeah, I don't know. And you keep seeing the meme that says, "Why do I have to use a cotton swab that half, you know, goes into my brain to test if I have COVID when I spit 6 foot and so the next person can catch it?" I don't understand. I don't understand why this is a thing.
Kim and I had to get that test before we went to we went to New York City, so we wanted to get checked first.
Yeah.
And we went to Griffiths, and we got the sinus rotor-rooter.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they put that thing up there somewhere behind your eyeball.
Somewhere behind your eyeball. Yeah. I've heard that.
Yeah.
And we are looking at a winter where we're, you know, looking at more possible shutdowns. And you know who's benefiting is Walmart. These big box stores.
Absolutely. All the big stores are benefiting really well from this event.
Well, the
all
little
the
guys
small
are
stores
getting shut down.
Are going out and they're getting shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And pretty soon going out is going to mean I'm going to go get a frozen pizza at Walmart.
Yeah.
And that is going out.
That is going out.
You know?
And there's so many different industries that it's affected, too. On top of the fact that local businesses are going out, think about the movie theaters. And on top of that, Warner Media, did you hear about this over the weekend? They announced that they will be releasing all of their new movies in 2021 to the theater, but also to HBO Max, the streaming service, at the same time. Which right there, if you can watch a new release movie in your house, you're going to cut the amount of people going to the movie theater by how much?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I remember when I was younger, you know, you take a girl out on a date, one of the staples is the movies.
Oh, yeah.
You know? What's this generation going to be doing? You know, what options are you going to have?
Hey, Dad, can I borrow the basement TV? My girlfriend's coming over.
Yeah, there are going to be effects felt from this that are going to be long-lived afterward.
Yeah, it is like December 7th. It is a change in how we do things. You know,
yeah. For those who don't know, December 7th being
1941 Pearl Harbor Day. On December 6th, we were basically a neutral nation that was primarily agricultural.
Yep.
And we were, in theory, trying to stick to our own. December 7th. We were on our way to becoming the world's #1 power and the #1 influencer in the world.
Yep.
What a day! What a day a Sunday morning makes.
Yes.
You know,
what a difference one day can make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that little change, and now with the way you see the politicians pushing this COVID thing around, you know. Okay, so what? More people are dying from suicide than dying from COVID, but you know what? We're going to push this thing on you, which. I mean, it's like we can get over it. We got over the Spanish flu.
Yep.
Okay? And we got over the Spanish flu. It took more than a year. It took about 2 years for the country to get over the Spanish flu completely. Actually, the world. because the Spanish flu was not a United States thing. It was a worldwide pandemic.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm wondering, this seems to be pushed more for a lot of political events favoring certain large corporations than it is trying to allow us plebeians to eke out a living.
Yeah, and I know we're pushing off the news a little bit, but I want to make a couple statements. History is going to claim that it was the coronavirus that pushed all these industries out of business, and I would like to make it this is not just my opinion. I believe this is fact, that it's the politicians who are responsible at the end of the day for putting all these industries flat out of business. And I just hope history does remember it the way it is.
It's a crying shame. The economic impetus of the United States is the ability to be entrepreneurial at the blink of an eye. You know what? It's like I want to go down and I want to fill out a $25 form that allows me to put out a sheepskin and get into business.
Yep.
And in this date and time where, they make it so difficult for you to get out there and do this.
They do. Well, the government wants to find any way they can profit from it, too. So you've got that in the mix.
On top of trying to do things.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, I suppose we should get into the news now.
Now, your local headlines from the Breakfast Club.
Okay, so off the top today, according to UPD, a woman was shot and rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. This was early this morning. Okay,
another shooting in Utica?
Another shooting in Utica. Shooting happened along the 900 block of Mary Street. Okay, and it happened right around 12:40 this morning. But details are few and far between. Utica PD tell local media that they do not know the condition of the victim, but that's something we're going to keep an eye on and hopefully have some more details for you in the coming day or so. And also a traffic stop for speeding turned into an arrest for gun possession, ending with police taking 2 loaded handguns from the vehicle's occupants. Crazy. Around 1:45 yesterday afternoon, Utica police saw the driver of a black SUV speeding on James Street. Okay, so you're stupid enough to be carrying loaded guns. Maybe what you should do is speed.
Speeding on James Street.
Speed on a city street. Brilliant. The officer says he saw the driver commit additional vehicle and traffic violations. Police attempted to pull the driver over, who eventually pulled into a driveway on Seymour Ave. UPD say he was argumentative and non-compliant. When police obtained the driver's identification, they learned privileges to drive had been suspended numerous times. Yeah, numerous times. Police asked the driver and passenger to get out of the vehicle, and upon taking inventory of it, found a loaded 9mm under the driver's seat and a loaded .40 caliber handgun under the passenger seat. The driver, 33-year-old Sylvester Collins of Utica, charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd degree and the 3rd degree, criminal possession of a firearm, and unlawful possession of marijuana. The passenger, 37-year-old Richard Green of Utica, charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd and 3rd degree and criminal possession of a firearm. And Richard Green, age 37, was also charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd, in the 3rd, and criminal possession of a firearm. And we just talked about COVID. Leaders of area hospitals in the Gloversville area say plans and procedures are in place to meet a winter surge of coronavirus cases if necessary, just as local infection rates have risen in recent weeks and the number of patients accessing care has begun to increase. Locally, the 7-day average coronavirus positivity rate stood at 3% in Fulton County, 3.5% in Montgomery as of today. So those hospitals preparing. St. Mary's Healthcare President and CEO Scott Burke and Chief Nursing Officer Vice President Trish Sanders said on Thursday they agreed that their organization has begun to see that uptick in positive patients, but again could not quantify the ever-changing uptick. Both leaders say they are prepared for that increase in I suppose I should take my paper back. That increase in COVID cases. And in Oneida County and Herkimer County, I'm not going to throw numbers out there, but it has been going up. So again, common sense, wash your hands. It is that season. I mean, this is common sense.
It's cold and flu season. So what's the flu rate?
Yeah, that's something we should look at.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
They're
Because
not counting.
They're not counting.
Yeah.
Now, as a rule, somewhere between 50 and 60,000 people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, this isn't the infection rate. Those are the number of people who die every year from the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pneumonia. You see, I did see somebody post that their 35-year-old relative who was otherwise healthy died of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen. Think about this. Think about this. Pneumonia. If you get like bronchitis or something and it becomes pneumonia, you stand a pretty nasty chance of dying. Same story with COVID. It leads to things like pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
Same problem. So just common sense, people.
Now, also, my dad was in his 30s when he got pneumonia.
Yep.
That's how he stopped smoking cigarettes.
I'll tell you.
He went in the hospital for a week.
Yep.
And he was like, okay, that's it. And he was like, I remember I was like 7th grade.
Yep.
And my dad was, he was like maybe 35-ish.
Yeah.
And he got pneumonia. And
it makes you think.
Yeah.
It's nasty. I've had a touch of pneumonia before, but I've never had it super bad. Praise Jesus. I've never had it that bad. But I feel for those who have. So, yeah.
Oh, celebration time?
Well, you know what's funny is I shouldn't have started the celebration music first, because the first on the list is, of course, Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, which does not really invoke Kool and the Gang here.
Okay, all
right. But it is time to,
I know we are running long, but there's a few Pearl Harbor things that I would like to bring up.
Okay.
The designer of the attack on Pearl Harbor was Admiral Yamamoto.
Okay, yep.
Who was also the first person to tell Japan, you will lose the war.
Yep.
Okay. And another thing is, there's a lot of people that want to say, like God isn't there and God doesn't exist and all that other good kind of stuff.
Yep.
There are so many times in the Second World War where things should not have happened in our way.
Yeah.
Okay. The attack on Pearl Harbor wasn't designed just to take out the United States fleet. They wanted to take out the carriers. Okay? Yeah. Because, frankly, battleships in 1941, there weren't a lot of nations that knew this, but Japan did. Okay? Battleships are what you call a fat target.
Yes.
Okay? And carriers were the new weapon of choice, but even England wasn't even really recognizing how to use the carriers. Japan did. So Japan wanted to take out the fleet. There was supposed to be carriers at Pearl Harbor during Pearl Harbor, but the USS Enterprise, which fought in every major World War II Pacific battle, was delayed by weather. She was supposed to be in Pearl Harbor at 9 a.m. on December 7th and was not there due to bad weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of those cute little things. There's some other ones going on, but I know we're running long.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. But that's all right. That's all right. It is also one of those days where we ignore 49 states and focus our attention on one.
It's not going to be Hawaii, is it?
No, it's not going to be Hawaii today. Today is National Illinois Day.
Oh. Let's go to the breadbasket of the country.
Yeah. Let's give Chicago a 21-gun salute.
There you go. All right.
They give themselves.
Oh, excuse me. They do that
They do that on their own. Absolutely.
That's turning into Cornhill pretty soon.
Yeah. And it's also National Cotton Candy Day.
Ooh. Melting on your tongue on a hot summer's day at the fair. But you can't go to the fair anymore because there's COVID, so they shut it down. So you can't have any cotton candy.
No cotton candy for you, but
How many kids don't know about cotton candy this year?
Oh, terrible.
How many kids are being left out of so many events?
But I do want to point out, folks, if you're a fan of that fluffy sugar, because that's really what it is, spun fluffy sugar with a color in it, you can go to your local store, wherever that be. And I know like Dollar General's got the dollar tubs of it because I buy it for my wife on occasion. Yes, right there in that there candy aisle. Cotton candy. Your WVVC Gas Tracker brought to you by Big Dog Motors.
Big Dog Motors, where Todd Gookin's got everything you need to keep your car running smooth. He's got the body shop. He's got the mechanical shop. If you need it, he's got tow trucks. And if you need it, he's even got the ability to help you out on your deductible deductible if you happen to have that little fender bender.
Yeah.
And, need some help in that department.
Absolutely.
And he can also inspect your big boy toys, or if you got an RV and stuff like that.
Yeah, he can do all that. 315-444-9028 is the phone number. BigDogMotorsInc.com is the web address, and he's located at 4262 Acme Road in Frankfort. All right, cheapest gas today. Looks like BJ's is not on the map today, so cheapest gas on our map, $2.17 for Mohawk Fuel.
They went up again.
Yep, creeping up.
They went up a couple cents.
Creeping up. Burn Dairy on Oriskany Boulevard is $2.19. Speedway on North Genesee Street, $2.19. Burn Dairy on Campion Road, $2.19. Sunoco on Seneca Turnpike, $2.19. Kenny Drugs on Oriskany Boulevard, $2.19. And that ends our $2.19 club for the day. Sitco on West Main Street and Lock Street, $2.25. Stewart's on Middle Settlement Road is $2.32. And your most expensive gas for the day is North Genesee Street Fast Track, back on top for price, $2.42 today.
Woohoo!
So there are your local gas prices for the day. What's going on outside the area, Walt?
Well, Al, as you know, what's going on with the elections and everything like that is still one of the big predominant things in the news.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd let our listeners know that there's a lot of scream is like there's no evidence or there's no refuting evidence. And maybe Attorney General Barr can go to this website, but there's a website called hereistheevidence.com.
Oh, well, there you go.
And they state that there is 1,218,281 ballots impacted by anomalies. There are 923 fact witnesses. There are 31 courts blocking evidentiary hearings, or that have blocked evidentiary hearings. Okay? And they list them. They list, according to category, there's 3 in voting legislation. In illegal votes, I can't count that high. Okay, and then in polling place irregularities, I can't even count higher than I can't count high. They have discarded or destroyed ballots. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, Arizona, Georgia, California. And they also have sources available, whether it be photo, audio, witness, expert witness, material, digital glitches, voting machine irregularities. Let's see, how many are there? 8, 10, 12, around 20, 25. And then general. I couldn't count high before. No, that's not the one. And then there's new submissions that are unverified, and that's the one I really can't count that high kind of thing. But if you manage to take the time, and you get to the bottom, you'll find that there are 1,278 entries. This is updated nightly. So I'm wondering if some members in the lamestream media could perhaps go to this site and maybe find out about some of the evidence that is out there.
Well, you know what's funny? On Friday, CBN News reported that Donald Trump was preparing to make his claim about the suitcases under the desk there full of votes. And I shared it, on our station's Facebooks, both Facebooks. And
this is where they pulled the suitcases out after everybody left the voting place and scanned in ballots when nobody else was around.
Yes.
And they could have put in over 16,000 votes in 2 hours using, I forgot, 4 machines or 7 machines.
Now, we got flagged by Facebook saying that our post was misleading.
Oh?
Yes. And there has since been a story coming out explaining that that's not what that was that we all saw.
Oh?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, I don't know what it was.
What did we see?
Well, obviously, perfectly legitimate counting of ballots.
Oh, it was perfectly legitimate counting of ballots?
Obviously.
I was on, or as I was perusing over the weekend, I was at, it was not Snopes.
Yeah.
Which is basically a General Soros-funded site, so you can figure out whether or not things are true on the Snopes site. But it was one of those types of things. And it said, no, there was no irregularities in that video. And I was like, Can you tell me why there was no irregularities in the video? I mean, a video that's taken at 3 o'clock in the morning when the place is supposed to be closed and there's people pulling out boxes and scanning ballots. There's nothing to see behind the green curtain?
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Al. Now I know that those are not the droids I'm looking for. Yeah, right.
It's nonsense. Some of the things that we are supposed to just believe because we are told.
Okay, here's one of the things that you're supposed to believe that you're told. That Biden evidentiary in the evidence that the mainstream media is presenting won the election. Mm-hmm. Okay, and when the Home and Human Secretary was on Fox News Channel with Chris Wallace, and he referred to Biden as Vice President Biden, Chris Wallace corrected him.
Yes.
And said he is the President-elect Biden.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Journalist. Why don't you shut up the person that you're interviewing and put your words in his mouth?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Because what does it take to be the President-elect? Either your opponent has conceded and he is saying, okay, you won. It's, you're going to be there in January, or the Electoral College has placed you as President-elect.
Yep.
Those are the things that define President-elect beyond a doubt with no argument.
Yeah.
Okay. Which we are going to find out December 17th, I believe, is when.
Yep, I think so.
They sit. Okay. So frankly, I think it's rather disdainful, to be polite, that a journalist. Okay, and actually a senior journalist shuts up the person he's interviewing and puts the journalist's words in the mouth of the person he's interviewing.
Yeah.
Let's just go beyond decorum. Let's just be factual, which is what journalists are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Find the facts. Okay? So speaking of facts, we're told that this candidate that goes around and fills arena after arena after arena with 10, 20, 30,000 people consistently.
Yep.
His opponent goes around and fills arenas by the dozens.
Yeah.
Maybe hundreds.
Yep.
Maybe hundreds. He couldn't fill a parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay? In a parking service in the Midwest, he couldn't even fill the parking lot.
Remember, the media has said that that was by design, COVID. It's amazing.
Then why have a rally?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you having a rally if you don't want people to come?
It's true.
Okay. Then so frankly, I don't believe it.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, I'm not buying it. So in Georgia, over the weekend in Rome, Georgia, the president had over 30,000 people at his rally.
Yeah.
Now, doing some backlog on this, I'm wondering, in what was a red state, Georgia.
Yep.
Why is it that incumbent Republicans are having a hard time getting reelected in a relatively red state?
Yeah.
How can this be? Well, it seems that the Republicans that are going for reelection are quite the rhinos.
Yeah.
They are really not really Republican in attitude as much as we would hope, which is why the Republicans in Georgia aren't placing a lot of faith and a lot of effort behind these people. Now, I think that Georgia understands what's at stake here, but it's like, do you want to vote for the political German, or do you want to vote for the Nazi?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you're between a rock and a hard place. So I think that's why there is not so much enthusiasm in Georgia. And then when you look, and the governor of Georgia says, well, we did a recount, and Trump is saying, no, you need to do a signature audit recount.
Yes.
Why don't you call for a signature audit recount? And the governor of Georgia says, oh, well, that's really up to my attorney general, and I can't do that. Excuse me, I thought you're the executive of the state. Why don't you call on the attorney general? Oh, well, I did.
I did 3 times.
Yeah, I did. And he didn't do it. So I guess that's as far as we can go, you know.
I did see in
dude,
one state.
If you're the executive and you can't tell your attorney general that there's problems and that there's evidence of these problems, and if you can't do it, maybe I can find somebody who is capable of managing a free and fair election, then you know, maybe things should happen differently.
Yeah. Did you see that? I'm trying to find the state here. Michigan. A Michigan judge has called for or has allowed the call for a forensic, forensic probe of Dominion voting machines.
Yeah, but it's what? Almost. It's 5 weeks later?
Yeah.
Okay. How long does it take to change software, Al?
And
you and I know very well how long it takes to change software.
Yeah.
I mean, depending upon the system, you can do it inside of 2-3 minutes.
Yep.
Might take, for a very complicated system, it might take you half an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's Final Cut Pro, it might take you an hour. But I mean, frankly, you know, it's like if I got to drop some software, I mean, it could take me 30 seconds.
Yep.
You know, if the system is set up to be swapped out, which Dominion systems are, okay, you put the chip in, you hit the button, okay, and you say reload, and it reloads the new software. So doing a forensic audit at this point on a computer, after it's been in the hands of who knows who, is like,
that's true.
You know, I mean, and here's something else. Speaking of forensic audits. Okay, this I am getting from the General Dispatch, which is from Whatfinger. Okay, and Whatfinger is a coalition of news sources that all come together. So if you go to Whatfinger's General Dispatch, you will find this. Ware County, Georgia, ran the same number of Trump and Biden voters into a Dominion system in Ware County, Georgia.
Yep.
And guess what happened?
What's that?
Biden came out by 26%. So how come if you feed voting machines in, and like let's say I'm going to run a test. I'm going to run 1,000 ballots for Biden, and I'm going to run 1,000 ballots for Trump, and Biden comes out ahead 26%?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, does it sound like something's wrong?
Did you see the video? It's floating around. I believe it's a Dominion voting machine, where they had 8 people. Okay, and there were 2 questions on the ballot they were getting ready to put in. Or one question, it's A or B. And the question was, do you believe that the system is hackable? Yes or no? And before they put it in, you know, they knew that 6 people were going to mark yes, and 2 people were going to mark no.
Okay.
And they did this, and then they fed the machine. And guess what?
What?
No came out the winner. I actually,
no kidding.
I actually sent that to you guys on Friday, I believe, through text. Yeah, I saw that video, and there was a woman crying after it. She goes, "This, I can't believe this."
Yeah.
You know, we thought we had fair elections, but this is evidence. That these machines can be.
The evidence is out there, but how do you know that evidence exists if you don't know that evidence exists?
Yeah.
So if somebody covers it up and it never comes to me, never comes to my attention. Now, Al, over the decades, I have been just kind of like looking at news sources because, you know, I'm a World War II historian and I like to find things out. And when I was young, I would read these books about how America was great and we did everything right and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then I started reading these other books. It's like, you know, why did we bomb Dresden? Why did the 8th Air Force put out such a huge effort in 1943 and we suffered these huge losses in the air battle over Germany? And should we have put more effort in it? And I'm like, well, you know what? There's an argument for that. How come none of the authors I read talked about this? You know, we suffered huge casualties flying B-17s and B-24s over Europe, and it was a nasty event. Now, there's arguments for and against other sides, which frankly, you know, I think that you can play out one way or the other. But what I started to do was I started to look at, you know, okay, so what's the case in point here? And as I worked at Syracuse University back in the 90s, okay, and I used to have to drive the thruway from Vernon, and I would listen to National Public Radio. And Ronald Reagan was the president. And I'm listening, and NPR is starting to, like, more and more bash the president. I'm like, well, how come they were bashing the president? How come they bashed Nixon? How come they bashed this, they bashed that? And I'm finding out that this isn't a news agency. It's an agenda agency.
Yeah, it's propaganda.
And there are so many quote-unquote news agencies that are out there that are actually agenda agencies. So when I go out and I start looking at news, I actually try to look at 4 or 5 different sources.
Yeah,
you know,
you have
to. And kind of like see what the consensus is and what's going on. And I started doing that more and more and more.
I don't know if you saw, but Project Veritas, which we're all very familiar with, snuck somebody into CNN's morning meetings, by the way, for 2 months.
Yes.
Did you see those videos?
I heard about it. I did not see the videos.
Definitely a worthwhile watch.
Yes. Where CNN is establishing their agenda.
Yes.
Yes. The executives are establishing their agenda on what news they are going to tell you.
And then they harp on the air about being fair and balanced and the importance of real journalism.
Horse hockey.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right, well, it is 7:38 right now on the Breakfast Club.
And it's long past time for bottom of the hour weather. Bottom of the hour weather is brought to you by the folks at Media Partners Group. Their phone number is 768-0277, and they can take your old videotapes, your old films, your old slides, and they can convert them to digital. Could be a DVD, a thumb drive, or a portable hard drive, whatever it is that you would prefer. They're located at 188 Main Street in New York Mills.
Now, your Breakfast Club weather forecast.
Hello, everyone. I am Kevin James with a quick check of your WVVC weather forecast. For today, Monday, we will see cloudy skies. It will be breezy with highs in the low 30s. For tonight, we can expect mostly cloudy skies in the evening, then it'll become partly cloudy after midnight, as our lows will be in the low 20s. For tomorrow, Tuesday, look for partly cloudy skies with a few flurries or snow showers possible. Our highs will be in the low 30s. For Tuesday night, skies will be mainly cloudy with lows in the upper 20s. For the long-range outlook, the week ahead will be seasonable, as we will see partly cloudy skies with chances for rain and snow showers by the midweek. With your weather forecast, I'm Kevin James on WVVC, Utica, New York.
Waking you up.
Wake up, you sleepyhead. Get up, get out of bed. See how the sun is shining.
You've got to be kidding me.
It's the Breakfast Club, WVVC FM.
Since you felt peace in the valley you made, where you're not meant to be, where the shame throws shadows on you. But don't you forget that you're headed to more, but you settle for less. Don't buy the lie, it's as good as it gets. The same feet that left you lost and alone are the very same feet that'll bring you back home. Wherever you are, whatever you did, it's a page in your book, but it isn't the end. Your Father will meet you with arms open wide. This is
Sidewalk Prophets on WVVC 88.1 FM. And don't forget 90.9 out there in Johnstown.
Yes.
Gloversville. Yes, good morning to everybody out there in our
good morning.
in our
Welcome.
earshot. Good morning. And it is the 7th day of December. We're creeping up on Christmas here.
Oh, my gosh. It's coming.
Yes.
Got your Christmas shopping done, Al?
I don't.
Did you start your Christmas shopping?
I did, but nowhere near what needs to be done. And you're lucky. See, you have kind of an empty nest.
Yeah, I do, but the kids are still the kids, so I still got to go shopping for the kids.
You still got to go shopping,
and, I have my usual tardy habit, so one of these days I'm going to start.
Yes. Yes. Donating to my favorite cause, my favorite charity.
Me?
That would be Procrastinators for a Better Tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna donate to them one of these days.
One of these days. That's right. Someday.
So Al, I know we're getting to our words of wisdom, but I got to tell you, there's something not wise that you want to do.
What's that?
Try to set up your autonomous zone in New York City.
That's not wise.
Yeah, and actually, the guy that tried to set up his bar as an autonomous zone, and you could go in and had some food and drink for a donation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he didn't sell it, and you had a donation.
Donation, yeah.
He was being arrested over the weekend, and it seems like while they were trying to arrest him, he got into his car and drove away with an officer on his hood. He went about 100 yards with the officer on his hood before he stopped.
It's not fun.
And so this autonomous zone bar owner, who owns one of the owners of Max Public House, is now being arrested.
Yeah. Did you see
I guess the autonomous zones are okay if you do it in Seattle.
There you go.
But it's not a wise thing to do in New York City.
No. Did you see Orange County, California? The sheriff there basically said that he will not be Gavin Newsom's enforcer.
Yes, a wise sheriff.
A wise sheriff.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of words of wisdom, Words of Wisdom is brought to you by the good folks at NGEMS. They have over 100 years of experience in floor covering. They are floor covering experts. Not only are they floor covering experts, they are also experts in saving you money. So before you go to the big box store, stop by at NGEMS. See Tony, Mark, and Julie at 2010 Oriskany Street West, and their phone number is 733-0421. And for today's Words of Wisdom, it being Monday, December 7th, we are going to go to Proverbs 7:1. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative.
I push, I pull, go back and forth, finding myself pounding on a locked door. I try to make it out alone without your help, but I know I'll never win this war. I can never be free without you. I can never be me without you. This is the sound of chains breaking. This is the beat of a heart changing. This is the song of a soul forgiven. This is my freedom hymn. This is my freedom hymn. My freedom hymn. This is my freedom hymn. My freedom hymn. I breathe the air of freedom in, knowing my life is better off in your hands. The past is gone, what's done is done. Now I'm alive, and I'm never gonna look back. I can never be free without you. I can never be me without you. This is the sound of chains breaking. This is the beat of a heart changing. This is the song of a soul forgiven. This is my freedom hymn. This is my freedom hymn. My freedom hymn.
Austin French on WVVC 88.1, 90.9, 749 right now on the Breakfast Club, and a balmy 24 degrees outside here.
It's also 24 degrees in Herkimer.
Yes.
It's a wee bit chilly out there.
It's a little on the cool side.
54 degrees in Daytona Beach.
Oh. 54 in Daytona?
54.
Wow, it's a cold one. Cold one, folks.
But it's 30 degrees warmer than here.
That's a good point. All right, so let's take a trip back in time. A look at things that happened on this day.
Oh, what happened?
History. All right, in 1787, on this day, Delaware, the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution. 1787. And you think about it, because 1776 is when we declared our independence, but it wasn't until 1787 that the first state ratified the U.S. Constitution. So there's a little gap there.
Very interesting.
Yes. In 1868, Jesse James' gang robs a bank in Gallatin, Missouri, killing one person. On this day in
Jesse James gone loose.
Yes. In 1877, Thomas Edison demonstrates his phonograph, or gramophone.
Which was actually, I believe it was a cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a waxed cylinder.
Yep.
And it would wiggle the needle that would, later on, they would make these flat and turn them into records.
That's right. Of course, he demonstrated this to the editors of Scientific American. On this day. In 1909, inventor Leo Baekeland patents the first thermosetting plastic, Bakelite, sparking the birth of the plastics industry. That was 1909.
Oh, you used to see Bakelite all the time on the old gear, for the cabinet for radios, and you would also have the pots would be on Bakelite boards.
Yep. In 1917, the USA's 42nd Rainbow Division arrives in France with Colonel Douglas MacArthur among its ranks.
Wow.
In 1934, Wiley Post discovers the jet stream.
Oh, no kidding.
1934.
Wiley Post discovered the jet stream.
Yes.
Oh, very interesting. In 1934.
1934.
Okay, you do know what the jet stream is.
Yeah, I do.
The high-level altitude winds are usually around over 100 miles an hour, and they normally go west to east, I believe.
I think.
Yes.
And in 1941, the Imperial Japanese Navy, with 353 planes, attacked the U.S. fleet at Pearl Harbor Naval Base, Hawaii, killing 2,403 people on this day.
Why would a country that has an economy that is 3% the size of the foe she is attacking attack such a country?
Yeah.
Okay? The economy, Japan's economy, when you look at it, okay, was 3%. Yet Japan managed to build more aircraft carriers and better aircraft carriers and train better pilots. The best pilot, December 7th, 1941, was a Japanese naval pilot.
Yeah.
Okay? And after America found out, a few weeks later, when Japan got the fleet on the other side of the Pacific, England found out because England lost her fleet too.
Yeah.
Okay? But the difference between England knew they were coming, and still they got whooped.
Yeah.
They didn't get burnt. They got whooped. Okay. England lost quite a few major battleships on the other side. And the reason that this happened actually is because Japan had been attacking China and committed bukus of human atrocities. And if you want to take a look, if you look at the rape of Nanking, it was either 1934 or 1936. You will find how atrocious these atrocities were.
Yeah.
Okay. It's known by as the rape of Nanking. Is one of the triggers, and FDR started pulling back all the resources that Japan needed. Japan's an island nation with no natural resources.
Yes.
She doesn't have oil. She doesn't have steel, and she's trying to become an industrialized country in the 30s. So what does FDR do? I'm going to take away your oil, because we were exporting. Japan got her oil from the United States primarily.
Interesting.
She got her steel primarily from the United States. We were an exporting nation, so what FDR did was basically choke off Japan.
Yeah.
So that Japan was at the point where she had maybe like a year of in-stock resources to continue running her country. And it's like, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get this bad monkey off my back because we're going to attack the fleet. And like I said, the person that designed the Pearl Harbor attack, Admiral Yamamoto, was the first one to tell Japan, we're going to lose the war. He said, I can hold them off for a year if we get the carriers at Pearl Harbor, but due to bad weather, the Enterprise was not there.
That's it. A lot of others, though. There were, what, 4 other carriers there? Or 4? Yeah.
We had other carriers in the Pacific. I think that we had 3 other carriers in the Pacific at the time.
Yep.
One of them very soon, I think it was the Saratoga, would be damaged and would basically spend most of the war in the Pacific coast getting repaired.
Yep.
The Yorktown was there. The Yorktown would be sunk shortly after. And there was also another ship, not Saratoga, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the list of the ships we lost on December 7th. And USS Arizona first, USS Tennessee, USS
Battleship.
Yep, USS Nevada, and USS California. Those are the ones we lost.
Right. And actually there were more battleships that were hit, but those are the ones that were sunk.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Crazy.
If you were on the inside row, you didn't get torpedoed.
Yeah.
You got bombed.
Yep. Yep.
Which they were effective.
Yeah.
The Japanese actually made special torpedoes. They put little wooden bows on the front of the torpedoes because the water at Pearl Harbor was so shallow that if you dropped a torpedo, it would go down and get stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
So they had to make this torpedo rise faster than it normally would.
Yep.
So they modified the torpedoes by putting little bow eggs on the front.
Yeah. And let's see here. In 1967, on this day, Otis Redding records Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
I love that song.
That is a great one, isn't it? 1972, Apollo 17 launched, the final manned lunar landing mission, where the crew took the infamous blue marble photo of the entire Earth.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
That's where that comes from.
That's where that comes from. In 1972, the Philippines' First Lady, Imelda Marcos, stabbed and wounded by an assailant on this day.
Oh, my gosh. She should have hidden her shoes. You heard about how many shoes she had?
I did.
Bukus.
In 1979, Star Trek The Motion Picture, the first of that series, premiered, directed by Robert Wise, starring William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. And on this day in 1988, PLO delegation led by Yasser Arafat proclaims the state of Palestine, recognizing the existence of the state of Israel for the first time. 1988.
Do you remember when that Star Trek movie came out?
I was 4.
Oh, okay. I remember when it came out, and I'm like, can't these Hollywood guys come up with their own stuff?
Yeah. Well, you know why it was made when it was made? Because I always find it funny that the original Star Trek was produced by Desilu.
Oh.
And for those who don't know, that's
I Love Lucy.
Yeah, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's production company. They had enough faith in this that it only ran, I think, 1 season. The original Star Trek did not run long because it was not a commercial success.
No, it wasn't. Not when it came out.
That's right. Now, in 1977, Star Wars came out.
Right.
And funny story about Star Wars, okay? Nobody wanted this thing.
None of the Hollywood producers wanted it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was George Lucas's baby, and all of that. And he shopped it everywhere. Nobody wanted it. He ended up getting it made by 20th Century Fox. Okay, but there was strings attached when it came to a lot of things. Okay, one of which none of the theaters wanted it. Okay, because they determined
nobody's into astronomy and nobody wants anything to do with wars.
Yeah, nobody wants it because in the 70s you're coming off the Vietnam War.
Right.
People are tired of war, and on top of that, space epics just were not working.
NASA was shut down.
Okay, so
there were men on the moon.
There was there was another movie that 20th Century Fox was putting out, and I'm trying to remember what it was called, but they told the theaters that if you want this movie, you have to take Star Wars. You have no choice. And of course, Star Wars, we know, went on to just bust box office records.
Still is.
And I loved Star Wars when I was a kid, and it's funny because as now I'm older, I still love Star Wars, but I now realize how bad the acting really was in Star Wars.
Now,
but, I loved it.
I was down in Florida when Star Wars came out. I was going to college. My roommate's father worked at Universal Studios. Okay, so here was a kid that knew new movies and stuff like that. We went to go see Star Wars, and I thought, hey, wow, this is a really cool movie. And he's going like, are you kidding me? That thing stunk. Did you see the mats? And mats was now what we called keying.
Yes.
He said, did you see the mats? Did you see this? Did you see that? He said it was like, and he talked about the technical performance of the first version of Star Wars.
Yes.
So after Star Wars came out, the second thing that happened was they pulled it back, they remastered it, and put it back out.
Yes, yes. And it really got cleaned up in the 90s when they re-released the whole series.
And then they did it again later on.
And it was funny because Mark Hamill said to George Lucas when he was going to re-release these in 1997 or 96, he said, that's a terrible idea. Everybody knows these movies like the back of their hands. Nobody wants to see these in the theater, and boy, was he wrong. I saw all three of the re-releases in the theater. You know what was different from every other movie I've ever seen in the theater at that time? Going to see Star Wars in 1996 in the movie theater, you had people in the audience howling, screaming, cheering. I've never seen that in a movie before. Ever, and I had seen an awful lot of movies by that point.
Yep.
So it was pretty incredible. But the other thing that made George Lucas just, he was a brilliant man. They made the deal for the movie that nobody wanted, Star Wars, and with it managed to maintain 100% of the rights to the merchandise.
Oh,
and
actually, the merchandise rights makes more money than the movie does.
And it's funny because nobody expected them to be a hit. That first Christmas, okay, they didn't have the toys yet. They were selling empty packages, like cards that basically was a promise of a Star Wars toy.
Oh, no kidding.
It was kind of, I was looking back because I watched a series on...
we haven't made it yet, but it's in production.
It's in production.
So here's the empty box.
Here's the empty box.
And you'll be getting your R2-D2 facsimile.
It was funny.
Sometime in February.
There's a series on Netflix called The Toys That Made Us.
Yes.
Yes, and one of them is Star Wars.
Oh.
Okay, and so I watched that. I'm like, yeah, that's just something else. That was funny. And of course, the theater or the movie studios didn't make the same mistake in 1980 with The Empire Strikes Back.
I'm sure
they did not make the mistake of giving up all of the merchandise.
All of a sudden, they love George Lucas. Right?
Yes, big fan of George Lucas at that point. And it's funny. Lucas did not direct the other two movies. He only directed the first one. He was the writer and producer on the other two.
That's right. I did know that.
Yes, he did not direct the second two. So let's get on to weather since we're talking about Star Wars. Your weather forecast brought to you by Forever Leather.
What's the solar weather today?
Forever Leather.
Forever Leather, where Charlie Seeley's got a herd of jackets and a herd of gloves and all sorts of really cool leather hats and stuff like that. He has got bukus of inventory. And did you say that he has a sale on?
He does. Jackets are between 40 and 50% off. Oh. So a very cool deal, especially when you talk about leather goods, because when you talk about good quality leather, it ain't cheap. So when you can get something for half off.
The other thing I like about leather is it lasts a long time.
It really does. It really does. And I have 2 leather jackets. Love them. And they both came from Forever Leather. 315-734-0922.
Now, your Breakfast Club weather forecast.
Hello, everyone. I am Kevin James with a quick check of your WVVC weather forecast. For today, Monday, we will see cloudy skies. It will be breezy with highs in the low 30s. For tonight, we can expect mostly cloudy skies in the evening. Then it'll become partly cloudy after midnight, as our lows will be in the low 20s. For tomorrow, Tuesday, look for partly cloudy skies with a few flurries or snow showers possible. Our highs will be in the low 30s. For Tuesday night, skies will be mainly cloudy with lows in the upper 20s. For the long-range outlook, the week ahead will be seasonable, as we will see partly cloudy skies with chances for rain and snow showers by the midweek. With your weather forecast, I'm Kevin James on WVVC, Utica, New York.
First on your FM dial, WVVC Dolgeville, Utica, Rome. Inspo Radio 88.1 FM.
I got a joy like a mighty flame. I got a peace I can't explain. I know a man who took all my shame. You lay waste to my darkness. I took hold of your promise. When you said it was finished, every shackle was lifted. You went up to that cross. You settled my score. You tore down the veil to show me I'm yours. You said you never would leave. You promise I'll keep your word. I can trust your word. I believe. I know a name that came to save. I know a friend who stays the same. I know a God who carries pain. I know a king who took all my place. There's a life who's worthy of my praise. There's a call, so give me faith. You lifted me up from miry clay. You set my feet on the ground that cannot shake. You lay waste to my darkness. I took hold of your promise. When you said it was finished, every shackle was lifted. You went up to that cross. You settled my score. You tore down the veil just to show me I'm yours. You said you never would leave. You promise I'll keep your word. I can trust your word. I believe. Healing in the name, breakthrough in the name, deliverance in that name, joy is in the name, peace is in the name. Call on the name, yeah. Your name is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. His name is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Yes, it is. Your name is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Your name is Jesus, Jesus. You lay waste of my darkness. I took hold of your promise. When you said it was finished, every shackle was lifted. You went up to that cross. You settled my score. You tore down the veil just to show me I'm yours. You said you never would leave. You promise I'll keep your word. I can trust your word. I believe. You settled my score. You tore down the veil to show me I'm yours. You never would leave. You promise I'll keep your word. I can trust your word. I believe.
Brand new stuff right there from Mike Marshall. It's called Jesus. And it's 8:09 right now on the Breakfast Club. time to talk local news, and I suppose I should get to it a little quicker this hour than we did last hour. All right.
Now, your local headlines from the Breakfast Club.
Off the top, according to UPD, a woman was shot and rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. This happened early this morning. The shooting happening around the 900 block of Mary Street in Utica, right around 12:40 this morning. We don't have any details on the condition of the victim, and we don't have any specific details to tell you. But once again, another shooting in the city of Utica. We'll bring you more details on that when we actually have some. And traffic stop for speeding turned into an arrest for gun possession in the city of Utica.
Boy.
Yeah. Ended with police taking 2 loaded handguns from the vehicle's occupants around 1:45 yesterday afternoon. UPD saw the driver of a black SUV speeding on James Street. The officer says the driver committed additional vehicle and traffic violations. Police attempted to pull the driver over, who eventually pulled into a driveway on Seymour Ave. Utica police say he was argumentative and non-compliant. When police obtained the driver's identification, they learned his privileges to drive had been suspended numerous times. What I'm assuming that means, not everybody knows this, but if you get multiple tickets in multiple different places, they can scoff your license for each different court, which means you can have not one suspension, but multiple suspensions at the very same time. And I'm assuming that's what happened there. Police asked the driver and passenger to get out of the vehicle. Upon taking inventory of it, found a loaded 9mm in the driver's seat and another gun under the passenger seat, both loaded. The driver, 33-year-old Sylvester Collins of Utica, charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd degree and the 3rd degree, criminal possession of a firearm, and unlawful possession of marijuana. The passenger, 37-year-old Richard Green, also of Utica, charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd and 3rd degree, and also criminal possession of a firearm. And,
oh, joy.
And over there in the Johnstown, Gloversville area, leaders in the area say that hospitals' plans and procedures are in place to meet an expected winter surge in coronavirus cases, if necessary, just as local infection rates have risen in recent weeks in both, in Oneida, Herkimer, Oswego, Madison. They're climbing everywhere. Locally in that area, in Gloversville and Johnstown, the 7-day average positivity rate stood at 3% in Fulton County and 3.5% in Montgomery County. That is as of yesterday, according to state data from the Department of Health. Health experts are expecting the count will continue to rise as infections related to Thanksgiving gatherings begin to emerge and roll throughout the holiday season. St. Mary's president and CEO and Chief Nursing Officer of St. Mary's all say that they are prepared should that surge hit. Your WVVC Gas Tracker brought to you by Big Dog Motors.
Big Dog Motors, where Todd Gookin's got everything you need to keep your wheels rolling smooth. He's got the body shop. He's got the mechanical shop. He's even got the ability to do inspections for you. And if you happen to be in a little fender bender, he might be able to help you out with that deductible.
Yeah. Big Dog Motors, 315-444-9028. Their web address, BigDogMotorsInc.com. And they're located at 4262 Acme Road in Frankfort, New York. Don't forget to tell them you heard it here on WVVC. And your cheapest gas today is Mohawk Fuel. $2.17. BJ's is not reporting, so I don't know there.
Mohawk Fuels went up a bit.
Yep, everybody's creeping up a little bit. It is coming up on the holiday travel season. Oh, wait, don't say that. That's a bad word. Don't travel. Oh. Bad stuff. Speedway on Commercial Drive and Greenman Avenue, 218. Burned area on Erskine Boulevard. 219. Speedway on North Genesee Street. 219. Burned Dairy on Campion Road. 219. Sunoco on Seneca Turnpike. 219. Skinny Drugs on Erskine Boulevard. 219. And that closes our 219 club for the day. Citgo on West Main Street and Lock Streets. 225. Stewart's on Middle Settlement Road. 232. Most expensive gas that's listed today is North Utica Fast Track at 242. So what's going on outside the area?
North Utica Fast Track, they're raking it in, huh?
Well, they're right on the throughway, and I always find that gas stations right off the throughway.
They're also, are they full serve?
Nope. They're across the street from Clifford Fuel, and I know that when I used to work up on the hill at the one of the TV stations up there on the hill. I used to go to Clifford Fuel across the street because they are full serve, and the prices were
they're cheaper.
Yeah, in some cases they were. So it's like, why on earth would I go and pay more to pump it myself? It makes no sense. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, the election issue is still out there, and it's still out prevalent. So Trump's legal team is citing video evidence of election fraud ahead of the new challenges. Giuliani is pointing to reams of evidence that expose pattern of fraud and corruption in the November 3rd election, and he thinks it was directed by Democrats in Washington. He also accused courts and the media of ignoring evidence. And I'm getting this story from the Washington Times. Not the Washington Post, because the Washington Post is not going to talk about it. So this is the Washington Times.
Yeah.
Mr. Giuliani cited footage and 1,000 sworn affidavits attesting that trucks, vans, and suitcases full of suspicious ballots were sneaked into voting centers in Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. The similarities of the reports of suspicious activity at the polls were no coincidence, he says. There's a pattern that was set by somebody in Washington because everybody else carried it out exactly the same way. And they did it in the crooked cities, Mr. Giuliani said on Fox News Sunday morning features. They didn't do it everywhere, he said. They did it in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, in Milwaukee, in Atlanta. They went to the places where there's a lot of corruption and the courts are not exactly the fairest. Let's put it that way. How can you say this is unsupported when there are now tape after tape after tape? More than a month after the election, Trump and his allies won't give up on the fight to overturn the results. So here Giuliani is going out there, and now recently it's been reported that Giuliani has COVID.
Yes.
COVID. Oh, boy.
Yep.
He didn't wear his COVID mask. Okay. Now, and one of the things that's coming up is we have this election coming up in Georgia early next month, January 5th. Okay, where 2 Republicans are going up against 2 Democrats for the 2 Senate seats that are available. Okay, and if Mr. Biden does become president and we have a Democratic Congress, Georgia can turn the Senate over to the Democrats also. I want you to check this out, Al. I'm sure this will not rub you the wrong way at all. National Pro-Life Group says Ralph Warnock, deeply disturbing, uses scripture to defend abortion.
Are you kidding me?
I kid you not. There was a debate over the weekend. Okay? This is Reverend Warnocky, okay, who is the pastor of a super church, is saying it is biblical for a woman to have full-term abortion.
I would like to see those verses.
Because he is saying that the Bible is pro-women's health, and abortion is women's health.
Can I tell you something about the Bible? The Bible is not political. So...
excuse me, if you want to argue this with Reverend Warnock down there, and it is, I mean, all the things you're saying, this is a battle down there in Georgia, okay? You have this liberal, quote-unquote, reverend of a super church, okay? And he is going up against the woman Republican candidate, and it's a battle. You know, I have not seen actual statistics on how close the battle is.
Yeah.
But I have seen reports alluding to the fact that things aren't looking that well for the Republicans down there in Georgia.
Yeah.
And apparently the reason that they're not looking that well is even though Georgia is used to be a red state, a bunch of rhinos are in charge of Georgia, and the Republicans that are in Georgia are fed up with the rhinos. So they're like, why should I go and vote for something that is like, is the pot black or is the kettle black?
Yeah.
And
the problem is, and Trump said this, if you do not vote in Georgia, the socialists win.
That's right. And that is actually the worst case. Yep. That is where you're not black, you're melted down.
Yeah. Yep.
And speaking of down there in Georgia, the devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a vote to steal.
Oh, my.
They ran a test in Ware County, Georgia. This is according to the General Dispatch, which comes out of Whatfinger. Okay? And Whatfinger is a conglomeration of different news sources. So you can check this out. In Ware County, Georgia, they ran a number of Trump and Biden voters to test the Dominion system. So they did an experiment where they took, 100 votes for Biden and 100 votes for Trump or whatever it was. I don't know. But they put an equal number of votes into the machines.
Yep.
Into the Dominion voting machines in Wayne County, Georgia. And Biden came out 26% ahead.
Interesting.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah.
How can this be that if you put the same number of votes in, could the voting system have been manipulated?
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, our computer teacher would always tell us that computers are stupid. They only do what you tell them to do.
Exactly what you tell them to do,
Yeah.
which is why I am not a programmer. I remember back in the days we had to learn. Do you remember BASIC?
I used to. I had it was a Texas Instruments TI 99-4A with a cassette tape drive, and that's how I learned BASIC.
And I found out relatively early on that when I had to take computer science back at Embry-Riddle back in the late 70s, and I was taking this and I was like, okay, I see how this should work. But when I actually put it down and started doing it, I'm like,
yes. Yeah.
Programming is not my thing.
It wasn't my thing either because programming, and you know what's funny is over the years, I have started to skim the surface of different programming languages. I know 7 or 8 years ago, I started learning C++.
Okay.
Okay. And one thing I discovered with programming is I don't have the patience because it's a meticulous skill.
Yes.
That then after you write, you then have to debug. That's right.
Yes.
And it can just be mind-numbing figuring out where problems are and how to solve them and make them work. And I just was never... I'm distracted by shiny things.
Yeah.
I have that little of that attention deficit disorder, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Now, an interesting thing also. So back in the late 70s, I think it was 79, I did this, and I found out that I wasn't that great at coding in this basic language. Now, let's jump to sometime in the middle 80s, and I'm going to college at SUNY College of Technology.
Yes.
And I am learning what is called machine language.
Yes.
Now, machine language, for those that don't know, when a computer chip operates, it operates on ones and zeros.
Yes.
Okay? And so you have go to, stop, if, then.
Yep.
And you have some very specific things. And I think this was a 16-bit language that I was learning. It was the 3502 or 5502 chip that I was learning how to program. But I am programming the chip in the ones and zeros. And I had to write up this program, and I had to go sit down at a machine, and I had to make the machine execute whatever my code was. It took me hours.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, so I had a bug in my thing, and I had a bug in my thing, and I had a bug in my thing. And then the next Monday or whatever it was, the next class day, we came in, and this guy comes into class 5 minutes early. And I remember our instructor. He was one of the guys that coded the digital machines at Remington. He was kind of a big guy, kind of jolly. He had a very bald head. Okay. Yeah. And he said he was bald because grass doesn't grow on a busy street. And he looks at this guy that came in early, and the guy puts down the machine, and the guy starts punching the numbers into the machine. And I am like, you're going to fail because you're not going to get that program to work, and you have to have a working program by the time class starts. And the guy the instructor looks at the guy that's put the machine down, and obviously he must have been, a star pupil, A+. And the guy sits down and he goes, oh, is that going to work? And the student looks at the teacher and says, why wouldn't it work? He says, I got it, and he plugs it in, and the program runs. And geez. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like fuming because this guy could do in 5 minutes what took me like 2 hours. Well, he did his homework, but he did the program on paper and then punched it in the machine.
Punched it in, yes.
And I was kind of like trying to do both back and forth. And I was like just so infuriated that I'm like, how can somebody be that smart?
Yeah. I find that it's the detail-oriented people. They always confound me, but they're the ones who can look at something and point out the smallest detail. Those are the ones who end up programmers.
Yeah.
Because it is the kind of thing that takes just so much attention to detail.
Right. You got to have that focus.
You do.
You got to be able to sit there and look at that and examine it out. Kind of like accounting. You know what I mean? You got to go through all those numbers, and you got to find this, and you got to find that.
Yep.
So
exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
There was the debate over the weekend between Warnock and Loeffler is the Republican who is going back and forth. And this is the same guy that not only was saying that abortion is biblical, okay, because it's women's health. He's also the same guy that said you can't do the military and the Bible.
Ah, yes, brilliant people.
Crazy go nuts.
Yep.
Okay, and on the air as Fox News Wallace is interviewing the Health and Human Services Secretary Alec Azar on Fox News Sunday. He stops Azar as he's interviewing Azar because Azar called Biden Vice President Biden. And Fox News Channel Wallace says he's President-elect Biden.
Yeah.
So
obviously aimed to gain a rise out of...
here you have a journalist, a senior journalist, that is interrupting the person he is interviewing and putting words in the mouth of the person he is interviewing.
Because it's the trend in this state of what they call journalism, which is a joke, to direct the flow, to direct the narrative.
Yes.
And it's terrible.
We're not finding out the truth. We are directing you to our agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, and we talked earlier about how Project Veritas went into CNN for a few months, and they have footage of the executives at CNN saying how we are going to direct the agenda and we are going to direct the news so that people will arrive at the conclusions that our agenda says we want them to arrive at.
There's a sad state, a sad truth, and it goes back to an old saying that he who controls the information controls the world.
And yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you now see the masters of the universe who are controlling the truth. When you need to find something out about something, you Google it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Google controls the information.
Yep.
And then the thing that I find is when you want to Google it, what's that online dictionary that it normally takes you to? Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And what does Wikipedia do? The first thing you go to Wikipedia. Can you give me money because we need money to run our site?
Yeah.
It's owned by Google.
Wikipedia is owned by Google?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
I'll have to look that up.
Yes, go ahead. Please verify. I thought that was a common thing.
Yeah, the thing about Wikipedia that people need to be careful of.
It's supposed to be open source.
Yeah, it's open to... Now, keep in mind, they have... Anybody can edit Wikipedia.
Right.
Okay, but also anybody that can correct the edits to Wikipedia. Now, you're supposed to cite your sources when you... make a change, and not everybody does.
Yes.
But it's just one of those things where, agendas come out when you read something like Wikipedia that is edited by average people. It's kind of, scary.
Well, let me tell you one of the things that happened on Wikipedia. Who's the gentleman who did not hang himself?
Oh, that would be
Epstein. Epstein's Island. Okay? If you look at Epstein's bio, before all this stuff came out about Epstein, guess whose buddy he was? He was Clinton's buddy. He was blah, 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 blah. Now, after Epstein gets arrested and all these heinous, child sex charges things come out about him and things start popping out about Epstein Island, after that, if you look at his bio, guess who Epstein is buddies with?
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you see, Wikipedia is one of those controlled things. You know what I mean? I think it might be a valuable resource to go back and start buying the old World Book encyclopedias and putting them on your shelf so that you can find out what's really what.
It's funny because Miss Kimmy and I were on the same page. She forwarded the Wikipedia wiki, which I was already looking up when she sent. It says that it's owned by the Wikimedia Foundation, but here's the thing. Wikimedia is a not-for-profit, which probably has some other investors in it. So I think it would probably take a forensic breakdown to figure out who actually really...
Right. Who sits on the board at Wikipedia?
Yeah.
And who has controlling interest of the board at Wikipedia? I would be interested in knowing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you will find that their definitions, especially in political events, especially in today's things, their definitions will change, again, to suit a certain narrative.
Yep. Somebody searched, is Wikipedia part of Google? Its parent company, Alphabet, frequently uses Wikipedia content.
Parent company, Alphabet?
Yeah.
End of story.
Well, it doesn't say that they own it. It says Facebook is also testing using Wikipedia, but it claims that they are not owned by. There's. It sounds like there's a labyrinth that has to be.
Google, Alphabet, Facebook. We are one of the senior officers and masters of the universe there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Wikipedia has definitely got its own...
Wikipedia, like I said, has become a behemoth in search because that is literally the first thing that comes up when you search for anything. Search for WVVC. What's the first thing you're going to find? WVVC's Wikipedia entry.
Yep.
I don't know how they became as big as they did.
You're not going to find Alan Walt on the Breakfast Club?
Not first.
Oh.
Well, actually, you know what you'll find? You'll find our website in the main list, and to the right, our Wikipedia entry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have done this.
I
always, because part of doing what I do is making sure that we can be seen and we can be found. And by the way, we have in recent months had a setback in that Facebook has decided to flag things repeatedly. So once Facebook and Google start questioning what you're putting out there, and I'm telling you, folks,
now you're under the microscope.
You're under the microscope. We don't, like a lot of the stuff we talk about in the morning.
Yeah.
We will see what's going on in the world, and we'll pull it all down, and we will just kind of go over what we're seeing other places.
And let you know that this Democrat guy says that the Bible says that, full-term abortion is okay.
Google,
because it's women's health.
Yeah, Google
excuse me,
and
really?
Facebook and Twitter, they don't like what we do because we will pull from different sources and talk about it. And if the source is not necessarily well known or well documented, what will we do? We will find some verification for that less known thing. But
or give you a source.
Yeah.
So that you can go to Whatfinger and look this up and look that up.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, what we're doing is kind of, talking about the issues of the day, but we're giving you places where you can find our sources. Facebook, Google, and Twitter, they don't like the content. So
they'll shut the content down.
They will.
If they don't like the content. Which has happened, which they've even done it to us.
They have on Facebook, to give you guys an idea of what we deal with on Facebook. Okay, we have about 6,000 followers on, we've got two Facebooks. One's got about 6,000 followers. The other one has just over 400.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and some days we get more response from the 400 than we do the 6,000. And why? Because we used to get, now keep in mind, 6,000 followers, not likes, 6,000 followers, well, about 59.4, something like that,
Okay.
are the ones who actually have chosen to follow.
Right.
Now, if you chose to follow a page, that means you want to get you want to see what that page is doing.
Right.
Okay, well, we're finding our average post on social media now is anywhere between 50 and 60 at most people seeing it. Okay, which means...
Not
now,
even 10%.
a year ago at this time, okay, our posts were 600, 700 people seeing them, which is still pretty low.
But we released the story about
the doctors,
the doctors in the white lab coats.
That's
is
when
what it was called.
That's when it happened. I can trace it right back to
we
that.
We put that out on the web.
Yes,
where there was a doctor from Texas that said 100% of her patients survived COVID.
Yes.
Before the vaccine came out, she said she used a combination therapy that President Trump liked.
Yes.
Okay. And they disputed that. Okay. Here is a dozen doctors giving a press conference, but Google says, oh, no. That therapy doesn't work.
Yes.
That doesn't work. And if you send that out, we're going to shut you down.
And that's what happened.
They shut our page down.
That's what
because
happened.
We put that out.
Exactly. I don't even believe we gave any commentary to it.
Yeah.
I think I might have. Now I'd have to go back and look.
I
This
think
is a
you
while
just
ago.
reposted the interview.
The press conference as it happened. I shared it live while it was going on. I shared it to our social media, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Both because we've got our TV social media and our radio social media.
You did not follow the agenda.
Apparently did not, because we got shut down, and it took us, I think it took us over a day or two to get everything back up, and we have not had the same kind of traction.
Now the masters of the universe are upon you.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the
That's
same
what
thing.
happens.
I haven't seen the same thing happen with our website. We seem to be getting good traffic to the website, but the social media, we are getting throttled.
Yes.
So, here's what I'm going to say to people. Keep our nation in prayer.
Amen.
Keep us in prayer, because organizations like WVVC, we are a target.
Mm-hmm.
We are a target for those who do not like hearing the truth, do not like people putting out, reality. And that's what we try to do. And that's why we don't just randomly throw things out. We will go to we will do our best to verify everything that we put out before it goes out.
Yep.
So yeah, that's our frustrations this morning.
Absolutely. It is. It is a frustration.
It is.
And as we express our frustrations at the bottom of the hour, it is time for the bottom of the hour weather.
Yeah.
And the bottom of the hour weather is brought to you by the folks at Media Partners Group. 768-0277 is their phone number, and they can get your old videotapes, your old films, your old slides put on to digital media, whether it be a DVD, a hard drive, or a thumb drive, or perhaps even both. They're located at 188 Main Street in New York Mills.
Now, your Breakfast Club weather forecast.
Hello, everyone. I am Kevin James with a quick check of your WVVC weather forecast. For today, Monday, we will see cloudy skies. It will be breezy with highs in the low 30s. For tonight, we can expect mostly cloudy skies in the evening. Then it'll become partly cloudy after midnight, as our lows will be in the low 20s. For tomorrow, Tuesday, look for partly cloudy skies with a few flurries or snow showers possible. Our highs will be in the low 30s. For Tuesday night, skies will be mainly cloudy with lows in the upper 20s. For the long-range outlook, the week ahead will be seasonable, as we will see partly cloudy skies with chances for rain and snow showers by the midweek. With your weather forecast, I'm Kevin James on WVVC, Utica, New York.
Best part of waking up is
The Breakfast Club, WVVC 88.1 FM.
As I walk this great unknown, questions come and questions go. Was there purpose for the pain? Did I cry these tears in vain? I don't want to live in fear. I want to trust that you are near. Trust your grace can be seen in both triumph and tragedy. I have this faith feels thin, like the night will never end. Will you catch every tear, or will you just leave me here? I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. Yes, I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. So whatever happens, I will not be afraid. 'Cause you are closer than this breath that I take. Yeah, you calm the storm when I hear you call my name. Oh, I still believe that one day I'll see your face. I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you are with me. I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. In the flood or the fire, you are with me and you won't let go. In the flood or the fire, you are with me and you won't let go. I came to you with my heart in pieces and found the God with healing in his hands. I turned to you, put everything behind me, and found the God who makes all things new. I look to you, drowning in my questions, and found the God who holds all wisdom. And I trusted you and stepped out on the ocean. You caught my hand among the waves, 'cause you're the God of all my days. Each step I take, you make a way, and I will give you all my praise. My seasons change, you stay the same. You're the God of all my days. I ran from you and wandered in the shadows, and found a God who relentlessly pursues. I hid from you, haunted by my failure, and found a God whose grace still covers me. I fell on you when I was at my weakest, and found the God, the lifter of my head. And I've worshipped you and felt you right beside me. You're the reason that I sing, 'cause you're the God of all my days. my bondage. God, you are my freedom. All my days.
It's Casting Crowns and the God of All My Days. 8:46 right now on WVVC 88.1 FM in Utica, 90.9 in Johnstown and Gloversville. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday. Here's wishing you a blessed Monday.
Monday, December 7th.
Yes, it is Pearl Harbor Day. You know, we take a moment to remember those who lost their lives in Pearl Harbor.
The big change of the world, where the United States ends up inside of 5 years being the world's number one power.
Yeah.
From being like a nobody. We were the there's a term the British used, bumbling Americans.
Bumbling Americans.
Yes, we were the bumbling Americans because England knew how to fight a war.
Yeah.
And we did not know how to fight a war.
Yeah.
And when we first did our ground action against the Germans in North Africa, we bumbled.
We bumbled. Well, I'll tell you.
We bumbled the first couple times. The third time around, we weren't bumbling.
Yeah, we are no longer bumbling. As a matter of fact, unless something has changed, we are world. We are what the world bases their currencies on.
And also, I have to tell you, there is one of the really unique things that came out is when you look at the structure of how the American military does things. Okay, in the Gulf War, for instance, a corporal has more power than the colonel when they were fighting in the Mideast. Okay, than Iranian colonel. A corporal, somebody that's just above a private.
Yep.
Okay, between a private and a sergeant, actually has more firepower than somebody that's a colonel. Okay, because we place a trust in your position.
Right.
We're going to give you, not only are we going to give you a tank, you know what I mean, and we're going to give you this kind of firepower, you get to start making some major decisions.
Yeah.
Is this moving target something I'm going to go after? Is this something, are we going to shoot at that? And then we give this small group under a lieutenant, okay, a huge amount of firepower.
Yeah.
And we let these guys go into actions, and we start letting them make their own decisions. Now, it is this chain of decision-making in the American Armed Forces that really allows the American latitude for battle.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make a decision, and if this isn't working right, then I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. And it's that latitude and that American decision-making that is allowed to come out. But the other thing that happens, for instance, at Pearl Harbor, if you were the naval commander of the base at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, you know what happened to you? The axe came down on you.
Yeah.
Now, is it your fault that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor? In the day, everybody knew Pearl Harbor was going to be attacked. They knew, I'm sorry, they knew that a Japanese attack was coming somewhere in the Pacific, and they were thinking that it was either going to be Singapore or in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Nobody dreamed it was going to be Pearl Harbor.
No, yeah.
But yet, the commander of Pearl Harbor, his career was over. And the same thing for the American Army commander in Hawaii. His career was over.
Yeah.
Okay? You were there in charge, and it happened on your watch. Okay? The only time, and what I'm saying is that even though you have this firepower, you have the responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay? Good, bad, or ugly, it's your job, it's your deal, it's your responsibility. Okay? I wish we put that kind of responsibility on politicians.
Yes.
That we put on. One of the things that happened at Benghazi wasn't just that this embassy was invaded, that it was taken over, that we lost an ambassador, and that we lost troops in actions.
Yeah.
Do you know who was held responsible for what happened at Benghazi?
Who's that?
Nobody.
Yeah.
For the first time in American history, we faced a major defeat. We lost the equivalent of a 4-star general.
Yeah.
Okay? And nobody was held responsible.
That's an awful
Nobody
bad,
has paid for that. It does not matter whether it's a little village in Vietnam and something went wrong. Can you say My Lai massacre? Yeah. Okay? They ended up pinning it on a lieutenant Okay, and actually, that was a crying shame. Okay,
Yeah.
it should have gone way upstairs. Okay, but they pinned it on somebody. Okay, what happened at Benghazi, there was a lot of major decision-making things that went wrong.
Yep.
And they sent somebody over, and then they covered it up and they denied it. Okay, they actually made the naval commander of the Mediterranean stand down as he was calling for a rescue. They made the Army commander, theater commander, stand down as he was fired on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, they made him stand down because he was coordinating a rescue. Nobody has been held responsible for the Benghazi thing.
Yeah.
And as we see right now, politicians are not being held to the fire.
No,
you're
they're not.
being held to the responsibility that you're being assigned. And when something goes wrong, we're just seeing it blown off. Yeah. We have to make these people atone for what they are doing.
Accountability is so important.
Absolutely.
You know, and yes, that's something we're seeing. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
Well, I don't have to do that, you know.
It's not my fault.
And they just blow it off and blow it off.
Yeah.
And your results come out bad, and you're like, well, you didn't do it the way I told you to.
Yeah.
It's like, well, excuse me, you're in charge.
Yep.
And is the economy better or is it worse?
Yep.
Did your Obamacare, did it do what it was designed to do, or did it get worse?
Yeah.
Let's see. It became more expensive. I couldn't keep my doctor, and fewer people have health care.
Yeah.
Okay, so it failed in all three counts, but you're telling me that it's great.
Yeah. But it did expand Medicaid, so it enrolled how many new people on Medicaid, which means you can't afford insurance for you,
right?
But you can afford insurance for everybody else,
right?
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, let's end on that note. I do want to take a moment to remind everybody we are listener supported, and it is getting toward the end of the year, and you know.
Yeah.
If you're
if you need that tax deductible contribution, we are a 501c3.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
we are. It is tax deductible. And if you are interested in supporting WVVC, all you got to do is go to WVVCUtica.com, click on the donate button, or right there on our main page on WVVCUtica.com is our address. You can send a physical check. It's 8:54 right now, and time to wrap up the show.
Yes, indeed. And we do want to leave with a good word, and the good word is brought to you by the good folks at NGEMS. Tony, Mark, and Julie have been in business for over 100 years, and not only are they experts in floor covering, they're also experts in saving money. They're at 2010 Oriskany Street West, 733-0421. And the good word we're going to leave with today is from John 11:25. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, Heidi is in next with Joy in the Morning. Until tomorrow, take care, everybody. We'll see you then.
Take care.
We wait for the world to change. A miracle way to rest. We're too young to realize it.